So welcome to a mashup, right?
Yes.
Of two women doing podcasts, and
Yeah.
we happen to meet, of course, through Instagram and friends that know each other and similar type of women. And Tanya is with me today on Bold Like Her, and Tanya Montella is her name. And I'm with Tanya on her podcast as well, called Career Change Champions.
Yes. And everyone listening through Career Change Champions, this is Kim Douglas.
Yeah, nice to be with you today, and it's so nice to get it together. I mean, we talked on the phone. I think the first time we spoke on the phone, like we just like kept going,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
I don't know with how you do your podcast with getting to know the person prior to,
Yeah.
having them on as a guest. I usually have a conversation, 15 minutes or something. I think you and I were on for like an hour, and you were on
Yeah.
vacation, right?
Yeah. I remember it vividly. And I was thinking of it on the way here. I thought we spoke as if we were long lost friends, like just for an hour, just kept going.
Right.
And I got off thinking that was such a great conversation. I was
Yeah.
expecting it to be a 15-minute, just like
Right.
normal, but
Yeah.
no, we went on and on.
We sure did. And we found that we had, I mean, we were like soul sisters, right?
Yes.
We just kind of clicked in a lot of different ways. Our mindsets are very much in line with one another. And I'm so excited to have you here and to
Yeah.
talk more about, what it is you do, and, share with your audience, I guess, what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, as far as, my questions for you, right? The
Yeah.
show is Career Change Champion, so I always am so interested in understanding people's career paths and what led them to the thing that they're doing now, which they very much love, and I can tell that you love it. So, when I learned that you went from radio to real estate,
Yeah.
I was so interested in how that happened for you. I think more so interested in how you even got into radio, because I feel like that's probably a difficult industry to get into.
It is. And it's interesting. When I was in high school, I really liked this one DJ.
Oh,
I used
yeah.
to listen to him, Dr. Perry Johnson. And and he was on this station, it was probably top 40 or something,
Mhm.
when I was a kid. And I just went down to the radio station. I met him. He showed me the studio, and I was just hooked.
Mm.
And that was like right before I needed to make a decision on where I was going to go for radio or go to school and what I was going to do. And my dad, he was really a proponent of me, like you should really study, like computers or something. Like he was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Dad, I love this,
Oh,
And so I did, and ended up coming out of Temple University in Philadelphia,
okay.
and so that's where I'm from.
Hmm.
And I first got my first gig in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So that was maybe 45 minutes away from me. So in that industry, it's not uncommon to go to like a smaller market.
Okay.
Especially since I was from Philadelphia. And at the time, the way they look at it is like, what are the top markets?
Hmm.
And Philadelphia was like number 4 or 5 or something like that. So tough to break in, right?
Yeah.
To just get in there as a youngster coming out of
Yeah.
college and just gonna be on the air. So I went and took this job at a station in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and they actually gave me the name Kim Douglas.
Really?
Yeah. My married, well, it was my maiden name was Sody, Sody, right?
Okay.
So it's my dad's name. And at the time they were still going with like something that would be a little bit easier
Hmm.
to understand or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Today, it's great to see that, not only in radio, but also in television, people are using their own names. They're,
Hmm.
wearing their hair the way they want to, and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different. But anyway, so they gave me I was like, I don't care what you call me.
Right.
Let me get on the radio. So I did. And what's so funny is I learned everything at that radio station. It was a
Mm.
smaller market.
Hmm.
I did everything from, when you would do a remote, you'd go out to do like a live broadcast from somewhere. I would literally set up the equipment to do the live broadcast. I would spin records at the same time, hang up all the posters out there while I'm out
Wow.
there, meet with the client, meet people when they come to say hi to me. So it was very interesting, like to go from that. And then for the longest time, so I worked at that station for 7 years,
Mm-hmm.
but the entire time I was sending, what you would do is you send your air checks, right? Your air check is what you sound like on the radio. So you'd
Okay.
send like clips of yourself doing different things, commercials and
Mm-hmm.
live broadcasts and, just different times of you talking on the air. And this is how you make an air check. So you would send that along with your resume. Well, I was sending them all over the world, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trying to get, especially I wanted to get into Philadelphia because that's where I was from.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I finally made that happen. So I got the job in Allentown. Then I went to Philadelphia and I got a job working on a morning show, which was like the ultimate for me.
Yeah,
Right?
I
Yeah.
bet.
Morning is for radio is the most high profile when you have the most listeners. And it was mostly, ensemble groups of people.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like 4 or 5 different personalities on, and we talk to listeners, celebrities, talk about our lives, which
Mm-hmm.
was pretty fun.
Yeah. So what was it about radio that interested you?
I don't know. A lot of times what I hear about people who are in things like radio, TV, show business is that they're looking for this in life. I don't know if that's true about me. I mean, I am the type of person that wants everybody to like them.
Yeah.
It's just true about me. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
I know a lot of people do, but I feel it really, like if that's not the case. I think as I've gotten older though, I've learned to just, go with that whole thing of, how somebody feels about you is none of your business. That,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think I've gotten better at it in life, but just to think about that, but I just loved it. I loved doing it. I did. I just, for all the years, 20 some years of doing radio, and I did a little bit of television as well. I just never felt like I was going to work.
Okay.
So much fun.
Yeah.
So fun, even though I got up at 4 a.m. half the time.
Yeah, and we're working your tail off doing all the things.
Yes.
Like,
well, once I moved into the Philadelphia market, I would go to do an event and they had like a promotions coordinator or somebody come in there like setting things up. And I said, you don't need me to hang posters or whatever.
Did you feel like you made it at that point?
I did.
I love that.
They're like, no, you're the air personality. You just do that.
Yes.
Is that funny?
Yeah, no, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And I think it's so fitting because your voice is very, like
radio.
But
okay.
but not, and I don't mean that in like a
hey,
exactly.
Like a yucker. Yeah, that's the old joke. Okay, caller number 10.
Exactly. But it's relatable, it's casual, but it's also professional, and it's soothing, like you have a very nice voice, but you also are very lovely to look at. So
thank you.
The fact that you got on the morning show, like it just all makes sense.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was just so much fun. And now I actually, during the pandemic, I got a Zoom call together of some people that I worked with in radio in Philadelphia. And we did this whole thing and recorded it and just caught up on where everybody was. And I had somebody put it all together, make a video out of it. And then we put it on social media. And it was really fun to see all of our radio friends and people who listened over the years react to it. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of fun. Yeah. I definitely missed that. And as I said, it just never felt like work.
Yeah. Well, that's what everyone strives for, I think, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what makes doing a podcast really kind of fun and easy for me. Right.
Yeah.
For when they started to become popular, my daughter was always the one telling me to do a podcast. And I thought, hey, it's really, really cool. And I can see where this is going. And it's really great to see celebrities doing them now.
Yeah.
And just like whatever you're into, there's a podcast now that talks about it. Right.
Yeah.
And I ended up being on a friend's podcast who talked about real estate. And the second I sat down like this with a mic and headphones, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun. I'm going to do it. And I think mine started like a month later.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me where real estate comes into that, because we talked about your radio, we talked about podcasts and how that kind of came up for you. Where does real estate plug into that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So radio is very volatile, right?
Yeah.
Over the years in the business, I lost my job a couple times because a radio station switch format or something. They let all the talent go. They're the first to go, right?
Mm.
And they switch the format, and then they want to, now I have to find a new gig. And that
Mm.
happened to me probably 3 times in my career. And the last time it did, I I kind of said, what am I going to do? I was lucky enough to keep popping up on other stations in Philadelphia. But this time I had a friend who was taking a real estate class and asked me to join her.
Oh.
So I said, whatever it is I'm going to do, I have to be successful at it. And my daughter's still young and going to school. And so I took the class, and it turned out I just really liked it. It wasn't that I went that way looking for it, right?
Okay.
It was presented to me. Why don't you take this class with me? I was like, okay. So I did. I really liked it. The guy who was teaching the class, for whatever reason, we had a really great banner. So we chat a lot, and I really got it, and I liked it, and I was enthusiastic about it. And I just kept going. And it is not easy or for the faint at heart.
Really? I know nothing. I'm actually
really
trying to start learning. Yes.
Yeah.
But I know nothing about, I cannot even imagine all that goes into it.
Yeah. There's, a lot going on right now. If you just watch the news for a second, you see interest rates going up, and, the prices and all the bidding wars and everything for people, especially here in Boston, but, nationally as well. So it's out there a lot, but it is 100% commission, right? So you don't get a weekly, biweekly paycheck. It's
interesting.
Yeah, and you only get paid when something closes. So you could work your tail off to help somebody for something, and for some reason the deal falls through in the middle, and you were banking on that $10,000, $15,000 or something, and it doesn't happen. But I've been really lucky to get a strong network of people going here in the Boston area when I came here, because I did start my real estate career in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, just to kind of get back on that question about making that switch. And so I continued to do a little bit of radio because I could never stay away from it. I didn't go back to anything full time, and I started to do real estate more and more. And then I would keep my hand in radio a little bit. And a lot of people need to do that because you don't get paid right away. It's not just like I started a new job, the check comes Friday.
Right.
There's a ramp up time.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so I was able to kind of keep my foot in a little bit of radio. I was doing traffic for a radio station where I would, do the traffic reports in the morning. And I was able to make a nice little salary from that, and benefits, which was so important, right?
Right.
And then once I got to the place where, my real estate career was taking off, then I quit that, and I just went full time.
Got it. Wow. Okay. So slow transition, but
yes.
And it just kind of fell into place that, you happened to stumble upon this thing that you ended up enjoying.
Oh, okay. I'll do real estate.
Yeah. Why not? No, that's great.
Yeah. And then there was another small transition there where I moved from Pennsylvania to here.
Right.
And that was like starting over again because I didn't know anybody here. Right. I didn't know really, most people who are going to work with you know, like, and trust you. Right.
Right.
And I didn't have any of that here.
Yeah.
So I had to start from scratch again. But I will say it was one of the best decisions I've made. It came here to Boston, and I've stayed, and I have made a great career in real estate, and the podcast is taking off and doing great. And I meet amazing women like you. It's just it's just such a great town. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not originally from here either. I'm from Virginia, but I couldn't agree more. But kudos to you for all that you have done and built and grown. I mean, just hearing that story, it's really incredible. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you. Well, I know that you're big into, people making transitions in their careers, and that's basically what you help people with, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I have an interest in that in particular because I've done it a number of times in my own career.
Yeah.
And I just know how it can feel very lonely. You know, you feel unsure about what you're doing. You lack your confidence because you're like, I don't even know if somebody's going to hire me to do this thing because I've never really done it before. And it's a very complicated place to be in your career. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that I've navigated it alone and I've been successful at doing that, which
Can
is
see
nice for
that.
me.
Yeah.
But had I had someone alongside me, you know, it wouldn't have felt so lonely. So that's
Right.
why I love to do that in
So
particular.
that's who you are now. You're the person beside
I
people
am,
to
yes.
help them along the way.
Yeah.
And when did you start doing this?
So I've been doing it for years, I noticed. Just naturally, people were sending people my way. Hey, so and so needs help with their resume. Can you take a look? And so and so's thinking about changing into a job you've done before. Can you talk to her? And this, and that. And you know, it was of course pro bono. I was just helping people out randomly. I wasn't even thinking of it. You know,
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking what's making them send people to me. Like, what about me
Mm-hmm.
is making people think of me when they want to, you know, give people career advice.
Mm-hmm.
So once it started to really happen more often, which was the beginning of this year, that's when I really was like, there's something here. And I noticed how lit up I felt when having these types of conversations, particularly with women. And so I was just like, I need to lean into this. Like, this has been trickling into my life here and there over the years, but now it's starting to happen more often for whatever reason. And I believe
Yeah.
in there being signs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me go forward with it. So I officially started my LLC the beginning of this year to make it a little more official.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can see that you're lit up by this.
Yeah, I could talk about it all day
I love that. What
long.
were you doing before?
So I had done a number of things, of course, but really just, you know, everything that I did before was based in training. So whether it was learning and development or sales enablement, training people within the corporate setting, whether it be you know, internal employees or clients, I really liked the training aspect of things. Like, I really like teaching people something and seeing them get it
Mm-hmm.
and seeing them then go and need me less because like now they go off and you know what I mean?
Out
They're
of the
doing it on their own.
nest, right?
Yes, go fly. Yeah. And so I like helping people, right?
Yeah.
So the common themes were like helping people, teaching people, you know, advocating for women was something that I've always been passionate about. So blending all those things together just really made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think it was about you that had people come to you all the time? You're just that girl.
You know, it's funny because I did say I never really nailed it down, and I still don't know if I have the answer, I guess, on the spot when you're asking me. Well, in some cases where it was women who are trying to get into a field that I've done, that makes sense,
Okay,
right?
true.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know Tanya's done that, and she's a friend of mine. You know, let me have her ask her. But in other cases where it was just, hey, someone needs a resume, you know what I think it was? I think I've always been known as like the corporate woman, like the successful, you know,
Mm-hmm.
even when people think of me alongside my husband, like when people meet them and then they hear of me, the way he speaks of me and what they see of me online, I think there's just an image probably of just like successful corporate woman.
Yeah.
So maybe
Well,
that's
hey, that's not a bad reputation to have, right?
it sure isn't. Yeah. And, you know, I think there's, you know, the trust factor, people that know me.
Yeah.
Um, maybe
Well,
that's what it is. Maybe we figured it out just now.
yeah. I love that. And it speaks highly of you, really. The trust is
Mm.
so important,
Hmm.
right? And so many people have been going through these changes, and especially in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I really say that, like, I started my podcast literally on like at the same time as the pandemic.
Yeah.
And there's just this common theme of people like kind of discovering things about themselves,
Yes.
either losing their job or deciding that the one that they had wasn't fulfilling.
Hmm.
And I know that there's a lot of people that you're helping, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I would say the same is true for me when I realized that this was something I wanted to lean into. You know, it was during the pandemic, technically. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
technically we're still in it.
Yeah,
So.
I know. I love when people say that, like, it's not over.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm part of that group
Yeah.
of people who had some realizations and had some enlightening moments and started to make a pivot in their life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely true for me. And I think that's another reason why I enjoy doing what I do because essentially everything I'm talking to the women that I work with about are things that I either have experienced or I'm currently
Yeah.
experiencing. Yeah. So it makes it very relevant and it makes it very easy.
Yeah, really. If you've experienced it, then like who better than to come to somebody who's been through it?
Yeah.
At what point did you feel comfortable to jump off and start your own thing?
You know, you know what's funny, Kim? I don't even think I gave it a thought. I went head forward. I had this feeling and I was just like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start an LLC and I'm gonna open up a bank, like all the things that you have to do to start a business. I was just doing it and I felt myself looking at myself from an outside perspective and thinking, who are you? I like it.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's happening, but this is interesting. So I didn't really think about it, but I did notice that it was very different from the person I had been before, right? Like that corporate, you know. But yeah, I just kind of did it because I felt it.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I remember in our first conversation, you were telling me like all the different things that you and your husband do. You have a nonprofit,
yeah,
and he's got a gym and all these things. Talk more about that.
Yeah, so he has led the charge on those things, and I have been kind of the backbone, if you will. I think he would probably, you know, describe me as the same. That's not like an arrogant thing, but just, you know, supporting him from behind the scenes, right? And that's another theme. Like I had always been behind the scenes. I've been in corporate roles, making that particular team or that particular business or that particular client account successful. When my husband started to open up his gym and start his nonprofit, I was behind the scenes building the website and doing the marketing and, you know, helping to make that successful. So now it just feels good to do these things for me.
Wow. Sounds like you could also speak on relationships, right? You guys seem to work well together.
We do. You know, I this sounds silly because I'm saying it about myself, so it feels a little bit weird, but we have such a unique relationship and other people tell us that they enjoy, you know, seeing us interact. I oftentimes when we're at home, I think, I wish we had a show. Like the things we talk about, the way we laugh. Yeah. Like, and we've been together for 15, I don't even know at this point, years. And it's still just like the beginning. So yeah, we have a very special bond.
Yeah, I love it. You can see it. And that's so refreshing to see, right? And the fact that you work so well and support each other. And I feel like that is like one of the biggest things that you can ask for is to have that person be like your biggest cheerleader, right?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You also have a 5-year-old.
Yes, he is the light of my life. Yeah, his name's Isaiah. He's 5. He is a very, how do I describe him? Energetic, caring, loving. I mean, he's so nurturing down to he really cares about like insects and animals. Aww. Like when we were actually, funny story, when you and I were talking and I was on vacation at a friend's house and they have chickens in their backyard and our friends who were staying with their daughter fed a worm to one of the chickens and my son lost it.
Oh no.
He said, the worm's dead. Like, could you have fed him anything else? Like, give him something else that's dead. Like, take it back. Like he just has such a big heart. And that's the way my husband is as well. I mean, me as well too. Yeah. But I mean, in terms of like a bleeding heart, like really on their sleeve, I see my husband and him from that.
I saw a picture that you posted recently of your family. You were on a billboard.
We were. It was a shock of the year, I would say.
It's so funny because you're like the day, that day we saw ourselves on, and I had the feeling that you knew that it was there or something, but you didn't, right?
We did not. No. Last summer we took a trip. We took a ferry to Spectacle Island and, somebody came up from the company, obviously, that runs this and said, can we take your photo? We said, yeah, I did. What I will say is I did have this amazing picnic basket I got from Amazon that I think really sold it because it's in the photo. Okay. I think they said, this family
got their shit together.
They are doing it right. But they took our photo and they said, thanks, and, walked off. And fast forward to this year, a friend of my husband's sent him the picture and said, "Hey, I saw your billboard," thinking we knew,
You
right?
knew about it, yeah.
And my husband thought it was Photoshop. He said, "Ah, yeah, right." He said, "No, this is on the corner of, whatever streets." So of course we had to go see it. Actually, update, we just learned that from a different friend, also posted on Facebook and said, I saw you on whatever Dorchester Ave and something else. So there's a second one.
Oh my God, I love it.
So now we have to go see that, of course.
Number 2. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Silly. We get into the silliest things, right? Like from my husband's boxing career,
right.
And he was on a TV show, like a documentary, short-lived, of course, but it's just the weirdest things.
I know what I was going to say to you when you were saying we should have a show. It's easy enough to do today, right? On TikTok, or all you have to do is start making some short videos of your antics and your family. You're laughing, and you start to get a following on it, right? That's the way you can create your own show without having to have a network on board.
Maybe you're right, but how do we get paid from that is my thing.
Oh, it happens. Believe me, I've had people on this podcast that have turned their careers into being influencers and you don't have to have a ton of followers for them to start to see you, and then it happens. People quitting their jobs and becoming full-time influencers. Yeah, it's crazy.
We'll have to talk to my husband about
something
that.
else, because you guys don't have enough going on.
You might as well, right? At this point, add it to the list, right?
Exactly. I wanted to get back to the things that you do help people with when they come to you. It's not only coaching, but you help them out with things like their resume, how to get back out there and be in the interview process. I don't know the last time I was on an interview.
Yeah, exactly.
And how to do it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I find a lot is it's either women who have been in their current role for, 5, 7, 10 plus years, whatever it might be. They either have never touched their resume since that time. So they, yes, exactly.
Blowing off the dust.
Exactly. And then you feel that overwhelm, right? You're like, I don't even know, like, what have I been doing over these past however many years? Like it's very overwhelming. So I do help them with that in terms of teaching them how to do it. So I give them feedback. It's not a done for you service because nobody learns by you doing it for them.
Good job. I like that.
And then in terms of the interview, what I really like about that is making sure that women are prepared, because when you're prepared, you're confident. And when you're confident, it shows through, right? So I really make sure that they have like the questions that they're going to ask the employer, because it is a two-way street.
Exactly.
That they actually have a way of, and I teach them this, knowing how to predict the questions that the employer is going to ask you, which I think is just really powerful to like take control, feel like you have control over that process. Like, okay, I can look at the job description, I can look at my resume, and I can kind of figure out like what they're either going to be interested in or what they're going to maybe have some questions about. And so when you can predict what they're going to ask you, you're prepared for what might come up, and you're prepared for how you might answer. And again, you just go into it a lot more relaxed and confident. And again, they'll sense that. So, it just makes for a better experience for the individual, and it makes them set up for success in terms of getting the actual job offer.
Exactly. Have you found that things have changed over the past few years? So the job market, so it was really tough there for a while, and now all of a sudden, everybody is hiring, and it seems to me, and I haven't been in it, but from what I'm hearing, the employee, that person being hired, looking to be hired, has more to be able to ask for. Like, how many days am I working from home? Things like that, right?
Yeah. So a couple of things I'm noticing have changed. One, to your point about, the decrease in hiring for a while with the start of the pandemic.
Right.
That has now resurfaced because, with the impending or the potential recession, companies are really being proactive and kind of like, and I think there's a little bit of PTSD from 2020, right?
Yep.
So they're being very proactive to say, like, what can we do to not take such a hit like we took in 2020? So they're either doing hiring freezes or maybe they're just hiring from within. So it really is, it's going back to like jobs being scarce, or I'm seeing that a lot of people are getting a lot of rejections because the companies are pivoting to say, let's keep this in-house so we're not incurring any net new costs and hiring somebody externally. But there is that factor that you mentioned where people are very much more in control,
Right.
right? They know what they want because I mean, again, the pandemic really had people rethinking
Yeah.
their
What's this
lives.
look like for me now, right? Does
Yes.
this really do it for me anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, the things that they're curious about, the questions that they ask and that they come to the employer with are different than they were pre-pandemic. So I like to see that because again, it's all about having control over your own career and feeling empowered to ask those questions to make sure that it's going to be the life that you want, because it's not just a job, it impacts your life.
You have an event coming up where you're speaking, don't you?
I do, yeah. August 20th, in Quincy, Massachusetts, actually. So for those that are locally listening,
Yeah, when I saw this, I want to go to this. I want to see you
you
speak.
should,
What's
yeah.
it called?
Women Empowering Women.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be speaking there amongst a bunch of other women. They're going to have so many things. They're going to have obviously food. They'll have vendors. They're doing a fashion show.
I love it.
They'll have photographers. I think they're going to have like a little, I mean, it might not be red, but there will be a carpet of sorts and a backdrop,
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big to do. So I'm really excited to be there. So I invite everyone to come.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so excited for you, proud of you, and I would like to come too and see you speak, and along with these other amazing women.
What I will say is, if you do, and maybe we could put the link in the show notes.
Sure.
But if you do go and purchase a ticket through Eventbrite, use the code Tanya Montella. It's just all one word, no spaces.
Right.
To get a discount.
Oh, great. I love it. Yeah. Okay, great.
We love a discount
there. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Kim. This was so much fun.
Yeah, it really was a great time. And I'm so glad to get together like this and get to know you even more.
Yeah, we did it. This has been a long time coming.
I know. Oh my gosh. A couple of times I had to reschedule, right?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No.
I hate to flake on people like that. But life happens sometimes.
That's it. And we're here now.
Yeah. Frankie wanted to come over and say hello. Look at her. She's like, I'm gonna come in here and let you pet me.
I know, she's not in frame, but we've got an adorable little Frenchie here, and I just adore dogs, and it seems like she adores me. So maybe I might be leaving with her. I don't know. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.